to fade into the sunset. I say we're Mickey and Mallory, wind up swinging from the cottonwood tree. Never going to change the world. It's just a story of a boy and a girl.
What's up, everybody? This is Sound Off with Stixx. This is Keith Stixx, and I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Jon Moody.
Hey, Keith, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. Jon has been a part of the Tsunami family now quite a couple of years.
I think so, yeah, 3 or 4?
3 or 4 years, yeah, absolutely.
Does that come with like a watch or anything?
Well, it's in the mail.
Right.
Yeah. So, so we're doing the podcast today, and Jon's here. We're doing all sorts of video and crazy stuff for the bass hang for tomorrow.
Kind of the calm before the storm. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a little disclaimer: if there's any crazy noises in the background, that's Tony Paleo and Steve Arajo doing bass other things.
Right. Yeah.
Outside
bass
of bass things. Yeah. Right. With air quotes.
Right.
So. But yeah, man. So let's get some history on you. So let's jump in the time machine a little bit. And when was kind of the first time you started playing, and what where age wise? When did you kind of start?
I lucked out in that my mom was a music teacher.
Oh wow!
Off the bat.
Yeah.
So I mean, music was always around me. She was always playing piano at the house. So the first chance I got to really jump into like an orchestra was in 4th grade, playing cello.
Oh, okay. Great.
So I did that for 2 years, and then once we got into middle school, was when I saw a string bass hanging up on the wall. It was just like, I want that. I want to play that. Yeah. And at that point, the teacher really didn't want me to do it because it wasn't the fact that I couldn't, but it was the fact that the orchestra would lose at that time their star cellist.
Oh.
So especially in a 6th grade orchestra, that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Absolutely.
But my mom convinced her to do it.
Nice.
And so that was the big thing there, and I was really heavily classically trained until about junior year of high school when I got in the jazz band, and then we went down to Florida to like just march and then play in the jazz festival there and stuff. Right. And they said, you need to pick up the electric bass because frankly we're not going to take the string bass with us.
Right.
So I did that, and that was really the big culmination, I think, of everything right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Very cool. And then after high school playing, did you continue on education wise, or?
It's one of those. I tried to always get into education, but having parents that are music teachers too, like the first thing they said was, "Don't you dare go into music."
Right.
They're like, "Do you want to be homeless living in squalor?"
Right.
So I showed them, and I went to school for art.
There you go.
So the only thing they gave me, I actually mentioned this today. The only thing my art degree guaranteed me was like a managerial position at a Starbucks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. So but when I did go to college, I tried to take as many music classes as I could. Because that was still all right. So I took like a lot of composition, some stuff, theory for non-majors, stuff like that, sight singing, all that kind of stuff.
That's cool. What college was that at?
That was Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Which is where you're from, right?
Originally from Lansing, Michigan, but then moved down to Western, stayed for the food and the ambiance.
I love it. That's great. Very cool, man. And then and your. Let's talk a little bit of gear since you've got one of your basses here.
I got my baby.
Your baby here, yeah, exactly.
It's a piece of crap. One of the coolest things I think about my job, because my working at GHS Strings is kind of a master of all kind of things, is that I get to talk to a lot of builders about stuff, and it's from that I became really good friends with Pete Hilton.
Yep.
Of Hilton Guitars, and the fun fact there was we instantly bonded because it turns out Pete and I are roughly the same age, but Pete grew up in Owasso, Michigan, which is about a half hour out of Lansing.
Oh wow!
So
That's
we
crazy.
started joking around, saying, you know what, we probably ran into each other
Right.
in East Lansing at the same like record store or stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I mean, you know, Pete's just a rad guy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I've always loved his basses and stuff. We talked about it for the longest time
Mm.
and things. And it was one of these that I got a couple years back when my grandma died. You know, the estate gave all the grandchildren like a substantial
Nice. Yeah.
piece of money for Christmas. And, you know, my dad and stepmom are asking me, they're like, yeah, what, you know, they're really excited to be like, you know, what do you think you're going to do with it? And I'm like, well, you know, first I'm going to pay off my car because
Right.
at that point, you know, I'll have no debt and
Right.
things. They're like, oh, that sounds great. And I was like, and I just out of the blue, I was like, you know, and then maybe I'll blow the rest and have Pete build me a bass in honor of Grandma. And my dad just stopped and said, that would be a great idea.
Oh, that's.
And I was like, wait, I was joking.
Yeah.
And they were both like, no, you really should do it. So
That's
I
cool.
called up Pete like a day later and said, hey, you remember when we were talking about that, you know, you making me a bass? And he's like, yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. So, yeah. So,
That's cool,
and,
man.
you know, I'm one of those people, too, that I don't like to really necessarily nitpick every single thing of a custom build.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
you hear about those guys,
Right,
you know, they're always like, oh, and I did this, and then, you know,
Yeah.
I did this, and I made this one 2 millimeters thick instead of the one that they,
Yeah.
you know. I don't do that. I very much, and I think it's probably from my art background, too. It's
Yeah.
like, if I'm going to you to build me an instrument, I'm
Right.
mostly going because of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll give you
absolutely.
the parameters I want, but you
Right.
put everything in. So all I told
Yeah.
Pete on this was we're going to do a 32-inch scale,
Yes.
5-string.
There you go.
And then Pete was like, well, I've never found a good medium scale low B string I like. And I was like, I think I know a guy.
Right.
So I very selfishly used this bass also to help prototype some medium scale strings for work.
Nice.
Which
Okay.
kind of, I don't even told the boss too. I was like, I may have abused my power. And I was like, Pete's building me this medium scale bass, and so we've got some. I kind of made a custom set of progressives for it. He's like, well, are we going to put it into production? I was like, yeah, I think we should. He's like, then it wasn't really selfish. Then.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. you're like,
But, yeah. So,
That's
but no,
awesome,
this is
man.
my main axe. I don't normally name instruments anymore. We'll do this because we got videos.
Oh yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, it's gorgeous, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, all of Pete's work is,
Yeah.
is just stupidly amazing.
yeah. And this one I asked him to keep it fairly. You know, he can get crazy.
Oh, yeah.
He can get stupidly crazy. But I asked him to keep this one fairly clean and use dark woods because I play in theater pits a lot, so that just kind of
Right.
helps a little bit too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't name instruments at all usually,
Mhm.
not anymore. But this one's Patricia,
Okay.
after my grandma.
Oh, there you go. That's
So,
awesome. That's
yeah.
great. Absolutely. Well, and like you said, being the fact that it was a build kind of like in remembrance to her, that makes complete sense. So,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's
So-
cool, man. No, that's awesome.
So
It's,
yeah,
again,
I've played it all the time. I have a ton of nicks and dings on it. And I know people are usually see custom instruments with dents and dings, but I'm like, that's, you know, Pete doesn't build these things to hang on a wall.
right. Yeah.
You know, he
exactly.
really wants them to be played.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So-
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, it's functional art.
Right, exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just, and there's so, yeah, the woodwork and the work on it is just amazing. The shape
Yeah.
he does is just insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that, you know, I am such good friends with him because I've stayed at his house a couple of times
Right.
and I'll hang out with him in his shop while he's working, and it's just
Right.
awesome to watch somebody of that level work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The few times I've been down there and he's talking about stuff and doing certain things, I'm like, just keep going. I'm gonna try to
Right.
absorb as much as I possibly
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know? It's like, it's just insane. Yeah, it's really crazy. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
So what's number 2? What's like your next bass?
You know, I've got I have a bunch of basses.
I'm sure you do.
But you know, the number 2 I would say is actually it's another custom build, but it was from another guy in Texas named Rob Bridges, who owns Brimstone Guitars, and I met him through a couple extra of our artists, like
okay.
Aiden Bubek from Miranda Lambert plays a
Okay.
couple of his basses. Mark Damon from the Pretty Reckless plays what a model of his he calls the Grand Toro.
Okay.
And it's a P-bass style thing, but it's
Okay.
got 2 jazz pickups down at the bottom, almost like the
okay.
the Barry Oakley tractor bass from the Allman Brothers,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
So, and I talked to him about, you know, asking about getting one of those like a couple years back, and so he made me and Mark Damon the same one. So we've got twin
Oh, cool.
basses So that would be the second one, and it's hugely aggressive. Like, you know, this one I would say, I mean, it's got a very loud signal because, I mean, it's got an active preamp, it's got Kent Armstrong pickups in it. So, I mean, it's all strong signal already, but that one is like all overwound DiMarzios.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's like a maple neck, so the thing is just so friggin' just loud and aggressive. But that's my more traditional stuff that I'll use.
Okay.
And then, I mean, this sounds so weird, you know, but I try to match the bass to the gig I'm playing.
Yeah.
Because I do so many kind of different things. Like, you know, I'm not necessarily going to take this bass to a blues gig if I've got like a P bass or something that might be more appropriate.
Absolutely.
You know?
No, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's kind of, I got a bunch of stuff that cycles that way.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely, yeah, it makes sense. I do the same thing with like snare drums or cymbals and
Right.
stuff too. You know what I mean? It's like depending on the gig, you know, you'll take, you know, a big metal snare drum, you know, for hard rock and metal to, you know, like you said, a blues gig or a jazz gig or something, you know, just not gonna do it. So absolutely, 100%, man.
Yep.
Cool. And then any other gear you want to talk about?
Any other gear? Well, I use these awesome things called. Hey, wait for it. I was gonna try to say something else and I completely spaced it. Like, no, this joke ruined. No, I mean, yeah, I've got you know, I've got some actual endorsements myself. You know, let's see what I've got. The big ones that I've got. Groove Gear.
Nice.
You know, I've been using their V card for years and years. Mine looks like absolute shit, but I mean, it works well, and it's only because I've used it that much. You know. And I use their gig bags and stuff. I love the gig blades. Let's see what else we got. Creation Audio. I use their Grizzly Bass Fuzz a lot. That's probably one of my most useful pedals. I think it's almost a lot of people think it's like a fuzz or an overdrive, but it's actually kind of a Swiss Army knife of stuff.
Nice.
Because you know, like you can do like some slap tone stuff with it. Like I actually do that. I scoop the mids on it and then I actually pull the overdrive up so you get like a dirty slap sound.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of,
cool.
Yeah, I run that at the church gig all the time.
That's right.
So, you know, and I've been another one of Pigtronics.
Okay.
They're one of my other big guys that I've used for a long, long time.
That's cool.
There's some other people I forgot, but then I mean, obviously you as well. You know, Tsunami Cables, which is why we're here. So,
just a little bit.
Just a little
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Wait, I came for tacos.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's tomorrow. That's
right.
That's awesome, man. So, what are you doing? What do you got going on now? We're kind of now up to present day. What do you got going on now?
You know, I've got the day gig, which, you know, I'm completely fortunate that I get to be in music, you know, my entire day, you know, so I get to spend days at GHS doing artist relations, doing a lot of website stuff, doing product development, you know, anything that needs to be done there.
Absolutely.
And then at night, you know, I get to be a freelance musician. And right now it's been an interesting time because for, you know, the past 10 years, I've been solely a musical theater guy.
Right, okay.
You know, which requires a lot of different skill sets. And then, you know, it's one of those too that, you know, in May, we saw, and that's when everybody does the next like 2018 to 2019 schedule. So you can look and you can usually decide, you know, I've been in it long enough, I can figure out who's going to probably music direct which show and which ones I'm going to be asked to. And it was like all the shows for the next season, like I didn't want to play. I mean, and it's not that they're bad, but it's like, you know, I've done, you know, almost like 150 musical theater productions.
Wow.
I can, you know, I don't have to pick every single one anymore.
Right.
But then again, with that comes in, okay, now if you're not going to do that, what are you going to do instead?
Right.
Exactly. And I mean, most people would say, John, you work too hard anyway. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. But so I've been trying to branch out just a little bit more into other stuff. I've been playing with my buddy's cover band.
Cool.
A bit. It's all 90s grunge and up.
That's
so I mean,
fun.
yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah.
It is a blast. And I've been playing in a couple of blues gigs, stuff too, and I've been doing a lot of my solo stuff, a lot pushing that real big. So
yeah, absolutely. And new album out.
New album out was in August. Music for Our Hands Volume 2, which is a little insomnia.
Yeah.
And the first one was total just solo bass. I wanted to do it much. I felt it was more like my Bach cello suites.
There you go.
Kind of thing that way.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the albums I referenced. You know, when I was talking with the engineer, what are you looking for? I was like this.
Yeah.
And this one I teamed up with my buddy Jeff Link, who's a drummer in town. Actually, he's in that cover band and stuff. But he and I have very similar music backgrounds.
Okay.
Like he's very classically trained. Like he's a smoking marimba player.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And always did a bunch of classical percussion parts and things like that.
Very cool.
Around, but you know, he also became a musical whore.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, you know what? I'll just play.
Yeah.
You know, it's just more fun to play. And then you know, oh, I get money from this too. Right on.
Right. Exactly.
So, but I appreciate him a lot because, you know, I played with a bunch of drummers, and you know this too. There are drummers that are always, and it's the same with every musician. There'll be somebody that's like a really good rock drummer,
Right.
and then all their stuff they're going to do is going to pull from that, you know, and subgenres are there, and that's fine.
Right.
Same with a jazz drummer. You've got a lot of different kinds of jazz. This guy's well versed in that, but those two usually can't hang in the other
Right,
situations
yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
So Jeff's kind of one of those guys that pulls a lot of different things.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it wasn't as apparent to me until we recorded this second album,
Gotcha.
because I had played a couple of things before with a great drummer in LA, you know, Dennis Morehouse.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
slayed at the
Yeah.
at the bass jam.
Yeah.
For that. And so, but when Jeff came in, you know, and he's like, hey, how closely do you want me to do this? I was like, well, you know, if there's anything you think really is strong for what he's doing, that's great. But at the same time, you know, going back to the thing with Pete, it's like, you know, I want you to
Right.
play this. I don't
Yeah.
want you just to play his parts.
Right.
So Jeff comes to it with, I guess, a little different mentality from a
Right.
classical percussionist being like, how do I add some different colors into these
Right.
things?
Absolutely.
And going from there.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, and obviously as a drummer myself, I totally get that. I understand, you know, completely, you know, the different textures and, you know, colors as far as coming from what your background is and what you
Right.
pull from and everything like that. So yeah, absolutely. That's great, man. That's really cool. Killer. Well, let's do some of these. Let's get some of these questions out of the way. Let's,
All right.
So I have a feeling I know which one because we've kind of already talked about it. But if
Uh-oh.
your instruments were in a burning building,
Yeah.
which one would you be running in to grab? And you can only
Yeah.
grab one. Which one?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely grab Patricia.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, too, it's still, you know, they're all tools, and I would feel
Right.
bad, but I mean, yeah,
Right.
that would be the one that means
Yeah,
the most to
absolutely.
me.
No, absolutely. I understand that completely. What is the worst thing that has ever happened to you on stage?
Worst thing that's ever happened to me on stage. I actually got a gig. I was playing. I was playing for the Temptations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a marching band thing
Oh, okay.
at Western Michigan. They brought the Temptations in, and the
Nice.
director calls me and says, "Hey, we don't have, or the reason we got them so cheaply was it's just the guys.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
there's no backing band. He's like,
Oh.
I need you to put together a backing band for this." So I called up my buddy, you know, guitarist and drummer, and like I mean, it's not really hard to shed some of the Temptation stuff. And really, for the halftime show, 3 songs,
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
So, you know, but we go to the thing in the morning, and Dennis Edwards looks over to me. He's like, "All right, so what's going to happen now for this one is I'm going to say something like, this is the song you've made the Temptations' national anthem,' something like that." He's like, "And as soon as I do that, I'm going to look at you and nod, and that's when you break into the opening to my." You know, and I'm like, okay, cool. That sounds rad. So we do this at halftime, you know, and he does it. And, you know, after the first couple of notes, you couldn't hear anything because it's a whole football stadium just like, ah.
Right, yeah.
And what happened next was the thing was because they had photographers running around, right?
Yeah.
And I've got my big heart key rig in the back. Photographer trips over a cable and pulls the power plug out of my amp. So everyone's there. We're trying to figure out what's happening,
Right.
and it's getting right up to the breakdown part where the bass line is the only thing again. You know, only into that do do do. And I've got no sound. Chris, my guitarist, in a moment of brilliance, looks over, nods, just hammers it at that point. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the worst thing that I would say that ever happened. Everything else past that, really, it was fine.
Yeah. that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What advice would you give your younger self or younger musician?
Keep your mouth shut. I mean, really, I was a cocky kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the biggest thing and it was hard for me to deal with, I spent a couple years at the community college before going to Western.
Okay.
And, you know, it's kind of that big fish, small pond mentality. Then you go into a place where people can hang, and then
Yeah.
you're used to always getting your way.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you audition for the jazz band and you don't get in.
Right,
You
yeah.
know? And so it's, and instead of being cocky and being like, oh, well, you know, it's because of this, no, just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Probably what happened is that you weren't as good as the other people.
Right.
You know, and
Absolutely.
I think if, had I done that, I might have grown a little quicker.
Yeah. I can understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had kind of a similar experience going to MI.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing, you know, where I was definitely the best drummer at the high school. You know,
Right.
I marched in the marching band at San Diego State for 1 year,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of an adjustment because I'm like, okay, there's a lot of other guys that are as good, if not better than me here.
Yeah.
And then and I was like, when I went to MI, I was like, I got this, no problem. When
Right.
I came in, and then like because I could read from the marching stuff and all
Yeah,
that, and the
yeah.
concert stuff, I tested out of a few classes, so I'm like, oh man, I'm the shit. And then you
Yeah.
know, the first class, and I'm like, oh no, I suck.
Yeah,
You know?
right,
And
right,
it was
right.
like, you know, oh, this is not going to be good, you
Yeah.
know, whatever. So yeah, I totally get that, absolutely, 100%. Alrighty, well, let's go through this list.
what
So
else
this
you got?
is first word basically that like comes to mind.
Uh-oh.
All right. So here we go. So what is your favorite word?
Taco.
Taco. I love it. That's all we've been doing is eating.
I know. So that's all I've been doing in
Mexican
California
food.
is eating Mexican food. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I love it. What is your least favorite word?
Excuse.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
really good one. Okay, I like that one. Do you want to elaborate on that, or?
I mean, I would say really it's just that. Everyone's got stuff that comes up.
Right.
You know, and if you are delayed for something, giving somebody an excuse is just not taking responsibility for it.
Right.
You know, if it's one of the, you know, if I'm late for something, the first thing I'll do first is apologize for that.
Right.
You know, I mean, because that's it. You know, I mean, somebody just giving me an excuse for something, like, you know, you're a half hour late for something. Oh, well, it's this. You know, you're basically saying that your time's more valuable than mine, instead of just being like, I am so sorry I'm late.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, nobody really cares why you're late.
Right.
It's just the fact that you're late. You know what I mean? Like nobody really cares that, you know, whatever, something happened or
Right.
whatever. It's just like, yeah, no, you're late, and you know, like
Yeah.
you said, the right thing to do is just apologize for it. Cool, you're here now. Let's get shit
Yeah,
done.
let's get,
move on.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So, what sound or noise do you love?
Hearing my kids laugh.
That's always a good one.
You know, and I mean, you know, you don't realize when people say that kind of stuff. They're like, oh, you're just saying it because you're kids. But no, I mean, there's something about it.
Oh yeah.
There's something about it, especially like getting my son Liam starting to tickle him to that point where he gets past that stop it thing, and then he can't control himself laughing. It's just awesome.
And it's so infectious too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he starts laughing, then you're gonna start laughing. And yeah. Absolutely.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. What sound or noise do you hate?
Probably him in the middle of the night screaming.
Yeah. I can
Maybe
understand that.
because I mean, but some of it too is also the fact that where I live in my apartment, like my room is on the opposite side of the living room.
Okay.
So the kids' side is on one side, and
I
the
gotcha.
guy and you know the
Yeah.
master's on the other, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's actually how our house is.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But yeah, then it's the same thing. You know, you hear it at 3 in the morning, like, Daddy, Daddy, and I'm like, dude, what?
Right.
You know, and it's just him like half awake and stuff.
Right.
You know, you put him back down with the blankets over. God damn it, kid.
Yeah, exactly. Man, Tony and them are really
Yeah,
thumping.
they're wanking off back there.
Yeah, really.
I hope they're using Tsunami Cables.
I think they are. So this is kind of an interesting one because
Alright.
because of what you do, since you're so much into music, and then, but you also have the art background. So I'm kind of curious to see your answer to this one. But what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would, you know, I've talked about this a couple of times because I've actually had offers in the past and I just couldn't do it. Would be a tattoo artist.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, you know, just because I always, you know.
Yeah.
I
You do partake.
Right, I do partake. You know, I really kind of dig the whole thing. I mean, there's an amazing history behind that whole thing.
Yeah.
Too, and yeah, I'd like to do that.
That's cool.
But you know, that same thing. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of
Right.
you know, going through the motions and
yeah.
you know, just earning your wings, I guess, so to speak. And I'm totally down with that. And that's actually when one of my good friends, he's an artist down in Memphis now, actually asked me when he was in Kalamazoo, he's like, dude, have you ever thought about it? I'd love to apprentice you.
Wow.
And I was like, I would love that, but I know I do not have the time to spend that this deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, and also too, I mean, it's art that's going to be on someone's body for the rest of their
It's
life.
a big responsibility on that, you know?
Yeah,
a lot of people
exactly.
don't think about that.
Right, yeah, no, it really is, absolutely. Cool, man, before I get to my last one, where can people find you?
Where can people
Online.
find me online? My main website is justmoody.com.
Cool.
Then you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, usually under the handle Mon Judy.
Right, I love that. I just love it. That's so great. Awesome, man. Well, anything else you want to talk about? Anything before I hit my last one? Or
No, you're good. No, yeah, it's been fun to be here so far.
Absolutely, man. We're just getting started.
I know.
It's absolutely awesome. Awesome. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
The taco bar is that way.
I love it. I love it. Awesome, Jon. Well, thanks so much, man, for being on the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Keith.
Yeah,
This was fun.
Good, man. That was awesome. All right, everybody, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Sound Off with Stixx. Peace.
Sweet.
Done and done.
Cool, man. You know, the funny thing was we completely forgot about talking about how you and I got together.
Oh, no shit. We did.
You're like, well.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to, do it and then